So first thing चाहिँ हामीले so we are very young folks यहाँ हामी मध्ये कतिजनाको चाहिँ त्यो स्कुलको साइडमा चाहिँ साइबर हुन्थ्यो जसमा चाहिँ हामी कलेज स्कुलबाट सकिनसाथ साइबरमा जान्थ्यौँ नि 2 घन्टा भयो नि गेम खेल्नुपर्छ भनेर कतिजनाको स्कुलमा हुन्थ्यो हुन्थ्यो राइट we haven't seen that आजकल देखिँदैन नि so we haven't seen that as much. We do not go to cyber to play games because we have games in our handheld phones. हाम्रो घरमा PC छ, हाम्रो फोनमा games छ. We're stuck to our devices ourselves. अर्को चाहिँ something that I remember I remember happening a lot was चाहिँ hand painted banners हरू हुन्थ्यो नि पसलहरूको यो चाहिँ यो पसल हो यो चिया पसल यो के भन्छ यो भाडा पसल यस्तो यस्तो भन्ने ब्यानर्सहरू चाहिँ युजुअली पसलको माथिपट्टि ह्यान्ड पेन्ट गरेर राखेको हुन्थ्यो नाउ वी डु नट सी द्याट एज अफन वी सी भेरी एभिडेन्टली सबै ठाउँमा फ्लेक्स प्रिन्ट गरेर राखेको हुन्छ द्याट इज युजुअली डिजाइन बाई ग्राफिक्स डिजाइनर्स स्किल्ड अनस्किल्ड ग्राफिक डिजाइनर्स घरनेरको जुन ठाउँमा प्रिन्ट हुन्छ त्यो ठाउँको दाइले बनाएर राखिदिनुहुन्छ द्याट्स द्याट. And one thing that I've seen very change in Agile is how we work in terms of when my elder cousin, she started working, she didn't use computers to do tally or accounting commerce. She didn't use that a lot. Now, all of her work is on her computer. They very rarely use bills or they do not use anything that's paper anymore. So a lot of works have shifted because of what has come through technology or what is coming from technology, and it is told to be a key driver on how business are going to be transformed, how our skills are going to be used, or who are going to be the one who is going to be working in the future in the space of technology, in the space of business, in the space of any sort of domain, any sort of, it can be food, it can be accounting, it can be travel, tourism, anything. So all this business matching, who is going to work भन्ने कुरा determine saying how adaptive we are to technology and how much we are learning about them and skilling ourselves भन्ने कुरामा नि has been a lot of that has been the main driver of the next 5 years of how the maybe future of skills is going to look like. And it's just a few things that we came across in the World Economics Forum's 2023 Future of Work report that they recently published. And the report talked a lot about technology, AI, digitization, and also briefly talked about sustainability, environment, and geopolitical issues and how that is going to drive a lot of the technology sector, a lot of working sector, and workforce. So we all know by now how AI is changing everything, how maybe technology is taking over work, AI is taking over work and everything. But that was also the case when Industrial Revolution happened. That was also the case 1 century back when everything was changing. People are going from one agricultural khalko industry from another manufacturing khalko industry. Now we are coming into automation khalko industry, and everything has always changed, and we have always pretty much lived through those changes. But over this change, how have we thrived and how are we going to exist in terms of our workforce and our jobs? So one of the reports suggested that in 2022, WEF report said that almost 47% of the jobs will be taken over by AI or taken over by technology. In actual, it was almost 35%, which is a lot less, but it's still a significant amount to consider. But at the same time, now we can only predict, we cannot say it in a we have realized there's a difference between expectations and what is going to be in reality. So how do we predict and how do we actually prepare ourselves for that changes? How do we prepare for the jobs that don't yet exist? So that is something we can only go through, maybe being strong on our adaptation skills, being strong in our transferable skills, and a lot of time seeing where the world is leading towards is also the technical skills. And I think that is where we are coming here today for. A lot of time our conversation are going to be very much around technology and how those are the main jobs or main workforce or main industry that we are going to have to talk about, or we are going to have to maybe have bigger discussions on. Polls level ma ni huna सक्छ, grassroots level ma पनि हुन सक्छ, but this is going to be where our discussion in terms of Women in Data Steering Committee will be going towards. So as I mentioned, a lot of these skills are the transferable skills where we adopt, operate, and maintain technologies भनेर, because we see a need, we create a technology, and then we have to skill ourselves to use that technology, and the circle goes on. So according to WEFK report, these were the top 10 skills priorities for 2023 to 2027, and a lot of this is not just technical skills, coding skills मात्रै छैन के, it's also about personal development खालको skills, personal skills, interpersonal skills, analytical skills, creative thinking, and other skills. So even when we are talking about technology industry and AI and data, these are not just, we are not just talking about creating new models for AI, sustaining with AI, maybe building robots. We are also talking about a lot of these other skills that come with thriving in the world of technology or surviving in the world of technology, the way, whichever way we think we can probably use that pani. And so when we talk about future of skills, maybe we're talking maybe in terms of 5 years ahead or 7 years ahead. And people who are going into high school right now will be going into workforce, will have their bachelor's done. They will be the ones who are going to be interns, maybe associates, maybe engineers. They are going to be one who are going to have to build the future then. And the future that we are building today, it's going to be for them to struggle into, maybe in a very sad note, but also this is the world that we are building today is where they are going to have to thrive, they are going to have to build their one world ahead. And त्यो गर्नको लागि चाहिँ is our education enough भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ I think a lot of us would answer it's not enough भनेर. And a lot of us probably have heard of 4 C's of education and 21st century skills and transferable skills, transferable education and knowledge भन्ने खालको कुराहरू. And त्यो सबैमा चाहिँ a lot of time we discuss about our education system a lot, how it's not practical, how it's very theoretical भन्ने खालको पार्टहरू. And in terms of Women in Data Steering Committee, we talk about a lot of that as well, but we also talk about हामीले दिन सक्ने transferable skills के हुन सक्छ while we are talking about education, and how we can, even though not all of us in this steering committee or in this group as well, in this the ones present today are working directly on education, but in one way or another we are impacting how our education system is going to change over time. So in terms of हाम्रै कुरा गर्दाखेरि पनि SQL and IIIT and WISDom, we have worked with K-12 groups a lot. Probably not our main target areas, but what we do work does impact those areas as well. And we are very glad that a lot of people who have applied, a lot of organizations who have applied to Women in Data Steering Committee are working in education sector, and they are targeting STEM education, for example, or are targeting critical thinking in K-12 groups, for example. Orko was one of our main theme for the last maybe 3 or 4 years that we have been working in Women in Data Steering Committee, was employment skills and employability. So a lot of time हामीले गरेको projectsहरू यताउताहरू चाहिँ are not really sufficient for internship पनि भन्ने जस्तो देखिरहेको थियो के. So कति ठाउँमा चाहिँ कलेजहरुमा प्रोजेक्टहरु भइरहेको हुन्छ but those are not to the industry standard, those are not transferable. A lot of time those do not create the critical thinking and problem solving that needs to be there for them to be in tech industry as a whole नै भन्ने पनि भइरहेको थियो. So त्यसमा चाहिँ I think we even in Women in Data Steering Committee and Women in Data conference we had a lot of discussions around employment, and we also, I think SQL also created a platform where industry professionals could come in, and they recruited some of the attendees during that conference segments. So we are working in terms of those skills, those areas as well. And अर्को चाहिँ in digital divide, where we see a lot, I think there's like a whole different discussion in terms of digital divide as well. So digital divide मा चाहिँ Women in Data Steering Committee under मा पनि Women Entrepreneurship Data is working in terms of digital and financial literacy खालको programs हरू. And even SQL recently published a handbook on digital learning and digital literacy tools. So we have been working on digital divide in those areas. So I think someone mentioned that they do not work particularly in tech, and they work with maybe older group or older generation. And we are very welcome to that as well, because we understand that when we talk about future of skills, we're not talking about 14-year-old right now who are going to be in like workforce in the next 7 years, but we're also talking about ourselves, maybe 30 years old or 40 years old. Given today's economic situation, we might not be able to retire at 40, so we'll have to work till 70 as well, right? So how do we create those skills that make us survive in the workforce till we're 60 or 70? त्यो खालको कुराहरु, like over the years we're going to have to learn, and we're going to have to relearn new things, new technologies will come over, and त्यो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ how the older generation of people can also will also have to learn new skills, and where these new skills will be learned भन्ने खालको कुराहरु पनि we are going to talk about in our steering committee. And अर्को चाहिँ something that I find very personally very important is intersectional gender approaches, which is why when we talk about technology and data, we thought about creating women specific भनेर नै was because even in terms of education, even in terms of STEM education हुन सक्छ, or even in terms of data or digital divide हुन सक्छ, women have like structurally, historically been behind on all of this, even in terms of employment. So त्यो खालको कुराहरुमा चाहिँ it's not just women have been behind भन्ने मात्रै हैन कि why women have been behind, what are the social, geopolitical, what are the policy level को or even grassroots level को, what are the cultural, and त्यो सबै कुराहरु चाहिँ where does it come, and why does all of those affect our way of maybe our situation or our way of working in our workforce, and why there are less women and why women are getting paid less. सबै कुराहरु नै I think falls under this approach, and this is I think one of the primary reasons why we created Women in Data Steering Committee. And with that, I'll pass it on to Nikes, who will be talking about and will be opening discussions probably in these themes where you can also put in your ideas in terms of what you're doing and what can be done, and how you will be probably putting these new ideas as a part of Women in Data Steering Committee or as your organization into this on there.